Welcome to Second to None, a show from the fans to the fans. We consist of one fan from each team in the South-African Conference who meet weekly to discuss games, news, and our excitement for the SEC. You can find us on Twitter at second_to_none and our podcast and YouTube at Second to None. We have also teamed up with Southern Boys Sports. Please go check them out on Twitter at SO_BOY_sports. Together, we are building something special. Guys, what's going on today? It's good to see you guys. It's good to have another week here. I think it's going to be fun. We've been having some back and forths going during these past couple of days. Who would have thought that a Vandy and LSU fan would just go head to head? That's pretty strange. But hey, man, it's college football is coming down the stretch, man. And we was kind of hoping maybe have two teams in the SEC, in the playoffs this year. Man, it's gonna be tough to get two teams, and because Tennessee has just been one of those teams that just kind of been like, hey man, we're here this year. We don't know about last year. I mean, we don't know what happened last year or next year, but for this year, we're definitely gonna make a run for it. Before I get started, we actually have a new Georgia fan here, Jason. And when I talked to him earlier this week, he was so excited about it, and I just let him know that hey, those guys are probably gonna go at it. He said, "Well, bring it." So hey, Jason, how you doing today, man? Welcome to Second to None, and thanks for joining us and being part of the team.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here, Michael. This is amazing. I mean, what better thing can I do than to be on a podcast representing the #1 offense in the SEC right now, the Georgia Bulldogs, the reigning national champions, by the way. And it looks like we're making a great run for it again. So, man, I couldn't be any more excited. On top of that, #1 in defense right now in the SEC as well. I mean, how can you get any better than that? I guess that's why we're #1.
I see you raising your hand, Matt. #2, huh?
Yeah.
So, man, but hey, appreciate that. Georgia is definitely a lot of people.
I'm sorry. #2 offense in the SEC. Forgive me on that one, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just anticipating this next game.
Okay, so you're already calling that a win against Florida in the largest cocktail party.
It's over.
When I lived in Jacksonville, I never went to the ball game, but just the amount of people that actually came to town, man, it was, I mean, you could just tell people was there just pretty much like, for this weekend, we just gonna just let it all go.
Oh yeah.
Let it all go. Yeah.
Like I used to live on Amelia Island, and that whole week would be filled with Florida Georgia fans everywhere.
That's definitely one of those big parties and stuff like that. So yesterday,
it's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party for a reason. That's for sure.
Yeah,
people just go and just have a. I think Tennessee wish he can be a part of that cocktail party.
We want them. They want us. Let's do it. I can't wait. I'm going to be at that game November 5th. We got that one circled, Tennessee.
I'll say this: if Georgia plays like they did against Missouri, then that'll open the door for Florida.
You're right, but we're going to hope. Listen. One thing I've seen is that every time Georgia shows up to a game that we're really, they're just cupcakes. They just didn't seem to get up for it. I don't like that. Kirby's usually much more disciplined than that. But I really believe Tennessee, guys, come on. I mean, it's going to be the first time since 1984 that Georgia has hosted a top 3 competition right there. I mean, this is usually postseason play. You think the Dogs are going to be up, guys? I'm going to tell you, we are going to be up and ready for that game. I believe it's going to be a team that we have never seen before. I don't think the Georgia Bulldogs have played yet like they're going to play in that game.
Well, that we definitely circling that they did. Tennessee is a man of little words, so he's definitely holding his thought. That's for sure.
Can I throw something in here real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
You asked a question, how's everybody doing? I
Yeah.
am not doing well.
I was
I'm
just
gonna be
coming to
straight-
you.
I'm going to be straight up. And everybody talking about Georgia and Tennessee and Kentucky and all this and all that. I'm here to tell you, I'm speaking it into existence. Every program in the SEC is going to lose 24 straight games, just like my Vanderbilt Commodores have. I'm tired of losing like this. It's time to get some wins.
Nah. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming.
I think you
Hey,
need a.
Chris, Kentucky has lost. They've suffered some several. They went through stretches where they really were in bad shape. So I mean,
Hey, it's time for Kentucky and Vanderbilt to dominate this conference. I've had enough.
Well, let Kentucky go down to Tennessee and take care of business first. How about that? And then we can talk. Yeah. We
Chris
can.
Rodriguez.
So yesterday, I think it's really two games from the SEC that we really can kind of look at. One is that we probably would talk more about with Chris. No one really expected LSU to dominate Ole Miss the way they did, and they kind of, it was really surprising. I don't think nobody really did it, and I think Brian Kelly is really turning that club around and making those guys believe, why not them? Why not this year? And I don't think Ole Miss expected it. I think Ole Miss kind of came in saying, "Hey, we're gonna go in here. We're gonna beat these guys. We're gonna put up a lot of points," and none of that happened. So with that not happening, and Ole Miss actually dropped like 7. They actually fell to like number 15 just because that loss to LSU. Surprisingly, also another thing, South Carolina actually made it into the top 25 this week. So I guess those guys are. I guess those guys are coming back, but I think the storyline is, I think Chris seems to be really upset with how Missouri was able to pull off that win yesterday, or did Vanderbilt actually just lose the ball game? Chris, what's your take on that ball game?
When you leave 13 points laying on the field and you lose a ball game, it's hard to stomach. Vanderbilt missed 2 field goals. Those Alabama kickers need to go straight back to Alabama where they came from, because we don't want kickers missing field goals when you have to be perfect in every phase. We can't handle that stuff. We threw a pick 6 in the end zone when we had a first down at the 10-yard line. That's 13 points left on the field in a game that you lose by 3. I think the hardest part to stomach was the 4th down play with under 2 minutes to play, where you line your quarterback up 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage on 4th and inches. Put that quarterback up underneath the center and go get that and win a ball game. I'm tired of losing like this, and it's time to stop it.
I understand how you feel. Kentucky was in the same situation at Ole Miss, with Will Levis, losing the ball twice. They were in the red zone, but I understand how you feel about that situation. Kentucky should have beat Ole Miss, and we would actually be probably 7-0 if it wasn't for his injury versus South Carolina.
Yep, it would be. That was the thing about college football is it's a matter of inches. It's a matter of one play here and there, and it seems like when you make one bad play, it tends to at times trickle down, and some teams just don't. Some teams are just not built to recover from the simplest thing, from a simple missed field goal. Sometimes it takes a team and just it deflates them, and they're not really able to rebound after that. So we definitely, Kentucky, just like Matt was saying, that's one of them things that Chris, that your day will come one day, man. Just don't give up on them. Yeah. I have a question for Tennessee though. Tennessee,
What's up, man?
hey man, what you guys give up 24 points yesterday for?
What did we give up? 24 points?
Yeah. To UT Martin.
Do you realize that we scored 50 points just in the first half, and we put the 3rd and 4th string in the 3rd and 4th quarter?
I got you. Okay.
They felt sorry for.
So,
okay.
So let me address this Tennessee, because there was a lot of stat padding went on yesterday.
Okay.
Throwing the ball on every play when you're up by 40 is tasteless. Plain and simple, tasteless. Run that
Oh,
clock
Jesus
out.
Christ, Chris.
But
Here,
you
here
got
we go.
But hey, but let me ask you though, Chris. Though, if you're bringing your second and third string in, I mean, those guys don't get on the field. How many of those guys, in reality, really got on the field against Alabama? Holly, none of them. So
Me.
in the sense of once they get on the field and they know that they're not gonna get on the field for a few more weeks probably with the teams that they got to play. I mean, as a player, wouldn't you come in and I mean, how would you feel, Chris, if you was a player and you came in as a third string and then your coach says, "Hey, I know you're not gonna get to play no more this year, but we're not gonna pass the ball. All you can do is hand it off." I think you'll feel a little upset. So while that's true that they gave up 24 points, and I understand why, I mean, as a player, you get on the field and you want to score, you want to throw the ball down the field. You don't want to just hand off.
You don't have to throw it on first down when you're up by 40 in the second half. It's just that I don't get that.
Let me just say this, Vanderbilt. You don't know what it's like to score 40 points. So first of all, stop right there. Second of all, okay, these guys are young, right? They're freshmen, they're sophomores. So yeah, so they're going to give their all. So you know what? It doesn't matter if you say it's tasteless because I promise you, they're going to play their damn heart out, and it is what it is. So yeah, we give up 24. Oh well. But you know what? We had 52 by the end of the first half.
This Tennessee team reminds me of like the T. Martin team that went on.
Don't say T. Martin.
If you remember, T. Martin was getting paid at the time, so I mean, I can see where the similarities are there. Quarterbacks are being paid now, so yeah, that's a true similarity.
This Tennessee team
Just for the record, that first 7 points was given up in the first quarter, y'all. That first 7. What happened to that first 7, Tennessee?
That's a really good question. Just so you're aware, UT Martin, they probably will be making a run in the FCS playoff.
Yeah.
Right now they are one of the top teams in the FCS. All right. Here's the deal. These boys are still college football players, right? They still have, they may be just a step slower. Maybe that's why they're in the FCS. Maybe they're not. They're maybe 5 pounds too light. Who knows? But at the end of the day, these boys still know how to play college football. So it is what it is. What our defense isn't the greatest in the country, but our offense lacks for what our defense isn't. So that's the great thing about it. Now, I'm excited for this Kentucky and Tennessee matchup this coming weekend. 2 high-powered offenses. I'm excited to see what's going to go down. Banana Boy, I don't see him being able to throw very much on that Tennessee. They're going to get a lot of pressure on that weak Kentucky offensive line. Just so you're aware.
That's where Chris Rodriguez comes in.
C-Rod ain't made a big difference for you. You've been saying that all season long, Matt.
Well, he wasn't around. He wasn't around the first 4 games. He wasn't around.
I know. But here's what you said though. You said whenever C-Rod comes in, things are going to change.
Yeah,
things are going to change. Have they changed for you?
So let's ask this question though. Isn't it a bold statement for Tennessee to say that Kentucky's not going to be able to throw against that secondary? That's kind of a bold statement.
Yeah.
Do you realize that Tennessee? Yes, I understand their secondary. I've been saying it all season long, boys. That's the weak point for this Tennessee team. But at the same time, though, we have also been able to make up for our run defense. We have one of the better run defenses in the SEC. Our pass defense is horrible, and I've been saying it all season long. So we're going to get pressure on Will Levis.
Well, I mean, you got Will Levis, and you got those 3-star receivers they got. I mean, if you do shut down Rodriguez, which Rodriguez is, he's a back that's known for falling forward, so he don't lose a lot of yards. So he's a back that can definitely get you ahead of the chains on first downs if you running the ball, and then you still got to account for those receivers. So while you guys might be the best, one of the best defenses in the league, you guys still got to understand that, your secondary is going to be tested. Yeah.
I was going to say no. I was going to say no. We're not one of the top defenses in the country in the
No.
league. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is though we have a pretty good run defense.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
say
A
that.
run defense. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we do, and we will be able to get some good pressure on the quarterback, and that's going to be key, right? If our Tennessee defensive linemen are in Will Levis's face all day long, and we're able to get pressure, then who knows? We may be able to get the stop, as far as this passing game goes, and that's what I'm hoping for.
It's going to be interesting. Well, not just speaking of the of the Tennessee and the Kentucky game. Not to get off what happened this weekend, but it looks like Arkansas has a big game against Auburn this weekend coming up.
Yeah, we're looking at snapping a big streak against Auburn. Hopefully we won't have any backwards passes, in the last 2 minutes of this game to be reviewed. But we came off a good BYU game. KJ is healthy, and it's going to be a fun game to watch.
I think Auburn's going to be out to win that. But are you guys at home or are you guys on the road?
I believe we're at home.
Okay. Well, I think you guys is.
No, we're I'm sorry, we are at Auburn. I'm sorry.
Is your quarterback? Is he healthy?
KJ's healthy.
He's healthy, and I think that's the big thing that's going into the Kentucky game, probably as well as the Tennessee game too, as well, because you guys' top receiver, I think it is, has been hurt, so he may be back. He probably most likely will be back against Kentucky, but also we getting some guys healthy back against Tennessee as well.
Speaking of healthy quarterbacks and healthy players, Vanderbilt did lose A.J. Swan yesterday. I don't know what the status is going to be going forward, but the rumors that I'm hearing is that he did get concussed yesterday. He also threw his first interception of the year, so there's that. So hopefully he's going to be okay. We don't have to go with Mike Wright for a long time. We shall see.
Yeah.
So the top 25 came out today, guys. Have you all had a chance to see them yet?
Yeah, I took a quick glance at it, but I didn't.
So it looked like
I think Tennessee's better than Ohio State. They deserve to be number one. I'd give my vote to Tennessee being number one.
over Georgia.
Okay, Matt. Okay. Here's. Oh, hold on. Here's my thing. Here's my take on being number one. You should not be number one unless you beat number one. Okay. So far, right now Georgia's undefeated since the national title game. Until they are replaced, then that's when you can take that number one spot. But until then, I think number three. I think that's okay. Ohio State, they've not really. Their best offense that Ohio State has faced is Toledo. Come on, Toledo. Right. The big slow. They're horrible. I'm sorry. They're overrated. But Ohio State, though, I think Tennessee should be number two, in my opinion.
Okay,
I agree with that.
Let me take a bite.
I was going to say, but until we can beat Georgia, then Georgia should stay at number one. That's just my opinion. Because they're an all-around better team than Tennessee is, right? Tennessee, yes, they have the top offense in the country, but until we're able to get that defense up, right now Georgia is the overall number one team all the way around, all three phases of the game.
But Georgia's beatable, though.
We are beatable, and listen, Tennessee. Don't think for a second that we don't respect Tennessee. We've got that game. That's the only game all year that I'm looking at going, that's the one I'm worried about. That's the one. And it all depends on if we have all cylinders clicking. Now, Georgia, when you got all cylinders clicking, when that offense looks like the number two offense, I mean, we're scoring an average of 41.7 points a game, guys. I mean, that's a championship type, and then the defense is only allowing 9.1 points per game on average. I mean, if we get those things all clicking together, it's hard to beat us, but we are beatable.
That's true.
So let me chime in on the Tennessee-Ohio State situation here. Ohio State showed me something yesterday that I didn't think they'd be able to do. They played Iowa yesterday. Iowa's defense was giving up 5 points a game.
Okay.
They were the number one defense in America, without question the number one defense in America. And they exposed them in a big way, put up 41 points on them. And when you talk about the Iowa defense, for them to be giving up 5 points a game is absolutely stunning
Okay.
because their defense is on the field so much because their offense can't score. So Ohio State showed me they can score against an elite level defense. So I can't argue that Tennessee should be ahead of them.
So
The problem is those Iowa teams, that Iowa team is not facing SEC offensive lines. That makes a difference.
makes a big
Iowa's
agree with that.
defense is nothing like an SEC defense. I'm sorry. I would not call them an elite defense.
no,
They're not. They don't play the elite competition.
no.
Look
So-
at what Kentucky did to Iowa last year in the bowl game. I mean,
Yeah.
we won a close.
I just think when you're on the field that much, and their defense is averaging about 40 minutes on the field per game because their offense can't score. And
That's
if
a
you're on
lot.
the field, and if you're on the field that much and only giving up 5 points a game, that says something about that defense.
Yeah, it
I'd say
does.
I'd also say it says a lot about the offense that they're playing, because if those offenses are on the field for 40 minutes and can't score more than 5 points a game, they're not very good.
So
The Big Ten's trash.
yeah, Big Ten. So looking at the rankings, even if we just look at the top four, Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Michigan, if the playoffs started today, should that be the four that gets in? If it started today?
Oh yeah,
No,
I think so.
no. Not Ohio
Bobby,
State.
it ain't going to be LSU, buddy. I'm sorry.
No.
Well,
It
I
ain't going to be
know that.
LSU.
I know that, but Ohio State, in my opinion, doesn't belong.
Okay, all right, Bobby, give me a good reason as to why Ohio State doesn't belong in the top four, please.
Personally, just
Yes.
because I don't like them. Like,
Hey, well, Bobby,
I'm gonna be
Bobby.
honest.
Well, then I
Come
need
on
you
with
to
the
say-
bold statements. I'm here for it.
Bobby, hey, we need you not to like Tennessee this weekend for us. I need you to unlike Georgia this week. I mean, when we play Georgia, I need you to unlike everybody. Okay, just don't like them. Hey, just
So,
help us all out.
So the playoffs, right now, that's the four best. And that's the four that should get in. But going forward, you got to figure whoever loses Tennessee, Georgia is probably not going to be in the top four. Alabama's probably going to jump whoever that is. And the only way that I could see SEC getting two teams in is if the winner of Georgia and Tennessee is number one, Alabama's in the top four, and Alabama upsets whoever wins or whoever comes out of the East. That's the only way I can see two SEC teams in the final college football playoffs.
Yep.
Okay,
You know,
Chris,
Alabama
so there,
beats Michigan
go
every
ahead,
time,
go
right?
ahead, Jason.
I'm so sorry. Alabama beats Michigan every time. I don't see Michigan beating Alabama for any. I just don't see it.
No.
So hold on, Chris. You still think it's gonna be Alabama representing the West in the SEC championship?
Right now, you have a three-way tie for first with Ole Miss, LSU, and Alabama.
Yeah.
LSU's not going to score with Alabama. They don't have that kind of offense to get in the shootout with them.
But
So
no,
I have
but-
to think that Alabama wins that division. They have the best
But-
offense and the best defense.
But nobody thought LSU would beat Ole Miss yesterday either. And look what happened. Not only did we beat Ole Miss, we went and doubled what Ole Miss scored. We went over double what they scored. So, I mean, let's be honest. It
So,
depends.
okay, let's be honest about
Let's
Ole
be
Miss.
honest.
Ole Miss is a team that played Tulsa, I believe it was, and didn't score in the second half. Ole Miss is a team that trailed Vanderbilt at halftime. Ole Miss has shown a propensity to play a good half and a bad half. So was it really that shocking that they played a bad half against a decent team?
No. Ole Miss is not Alabama. Alabama is going to they're going to beat LSU. They're going to beat them.
Mike, you took my words out of my mouth. That was all I was going to say. Is they're not those guys. So I mean, coming down the race, you know what I'm saying? Because this is when people kind of buckle in and everybody's really playing for those spots now. So it's going to be really interesting to see if two teams from the SEC can actually get in. I guess Alabama has to win out, even at the SEC championship in Atlanta, for them to even have, for them to get in. So you can't count those guys out. I guess the numbers don't lie.
You can never.
Michael, at the end of the day, right now, this is when it really matters the most. You can't drop a ball game that you're not supposed to drop, right? All right, the only way that Tennessee would get into the college football playoff, there's two ways, right? Potentially. They win out, okay? They go to the SEC title game, and they lose. Just saying, they lose. There's an opportunity. Georgia done it last year, so you can't do the same thing. Say Tennessee is a one-loss team in the SEC title, and then leave them out. Or, like I said, Georgia happens to beat Tennessee in a couple weeks. Then Georgia will be going. That's just the fact of it. So every game counts right now.
That's right.
And you're right.
Yeah,
Every game
seriously.
counts, but right now there's too many undefeated teams at the top of the rankings. You still got Ohio State and Michigan. Whoever wins that's going to be in the playoffs. You still got Clemson that doesn't appear that they're going to get beat by anybody. So chances are they're going to be in. You got TCU sitting out here that's already beaten Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. I think they got Texas left. I'm not sure. If they win that Texas game, TCU's going to be sitting there undefeated. So are you really going to take a one or two loss SEC team over Power 5 champions that are undefeated?
LSU
Yes, I mean, I think you should. I think you should.
We do it every year.
Because the competition, the competition is totally different down here, and you guys know
That's
that.
right.
And here's the thing.
Didn't
What'd
LSU
you
make
say,
it
Matt?
in 2007?
Say that again, Matt.
Didn't
In
LSU
07?
make it in 2007, or was it 2007? LSU made it with the two loss.
So that was during the BCS era. That was the craziest year. We all remember that year. That was the craziest year in college football ever, and I loved that year. Right? That was the year that App State beat Michigan in the Big House. That was the year that you're possibly looking, I believe it was at West Virginia potentially going to the national title game. There was a lot that was going on that year. Tennessee could have potentially, if Tennessee would have beat LSU, they could have potentially went to the national title game that year. So I love that 2007 season, but the BC era is totally different than this college football playoff. That was by computer. This is by committee. That's the difference. So this is a man vote versus a computer vote.
But we just talked about this. Was it last week? I think it was when we were seeing how even the man votes, the human votes or whatever, even how that's even a flaw because of how the people vote and how people have already made up their mind that they're not going to vote for a Pac-12 or whoever. So,
Well, now, but Michael, that was more along the lines of the Heisman voting, though.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's my fault. Yeah, that's my fault. You're right.
I was going to say that's a little bit. There's a little more bias right across. According to a West Coast, they're really not wanting to vote for a guy down here in the Southeast because who's really watching a 1 o'clock game? In the middle of the night.
Nobody.
We're all in the bed, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean that's just the fact of it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, SEC has the primetime slot of every game from between 12 and 7 o'clock, in the afternoon. So everybody gets to see those guys. The Big Ten, same way. So that's why there's bias from a West Coast guy, because they want a West Coast guy to win the thing.
So
That's
for
why I'm all
me,
for the playoffs, guys. I like this expanded playoffs. Everybody talks about it being a negative thing, but man, I want to see it played out on the field. I see no downside to that.
so to your point, Jason, about the expanded playoff, about a month ago, the university presidents had a meeting, the D1 council meeting, and the presidents have proposed 25% playoff participation in every sport, baseball, basketball, football, every sport. Now, we all know that there are more G5 schools than there are FBS or P5 schools. So if it comes down to that vote, I'm pretty sure that they're going to expand it to 25%, and that there's going to be guarantees that these group of 5 teams get in. What's your opinion on that?
And I think I'm all for being able to play it on the field. Like I want those teams to get the opportunity. The worst thing in the world, I want to silence the fan base. I want them to be able to face a team. I don't care if we blow them out. Everybody goes, well, see that they shouldn't even have been there. Well, you can't tell somebody that when Cincinnati or somebody like that has just been winning nonstop. They need to see it on the field so that silences the fan base. That way, there's no way they can claim we really were robbed. And I don't want anybody to feel that way. Georgia felt that way when Ohio State went a few years ago. They kind of took the place. We should have got in. We were a 2-loss team at the time. We had the best record as a 2-loss team. And Ohio State was just kind of voted in there, really, and we kind of felt robbed by that. I don't want any team to feel that.
Let me ask you a question about that then, Jason. You said that you want, take for example, Cincinnati went in. I think they played Alabama. I think that's who they played. They didn't belong there. And and here's my point, Jason. And I think West made this. I think for a couple of weeks ago, I think West made this same thing. If you take a team like that, and I'm all for the underdog, for the people, for the kids that's been out there playing their butts off and been winning year after year after year. And that's why TCU won't get in. But people watch the national championship games, those 2 games or 3 games or whatever it is. They watch that because they want it to be like a Tennessee and Alabama game all the way down to the stretch, kick a field goal and it's over. I mean, who's really gonna tune in if you got
I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. This is the thing, though, is if you're talking about 4 teams in a college playoff, that's different. I'm talking about an expanded 12-team playoff. I think that's going to, once we get to the 4, it'll be the top 4. That's what everybody tunes in for.
It's all about.
And I think Jason will remember this. A few years back, yes, it was in the BCS. You had Boise State that went into Atlanta and boat raced Georgia. I believe Georgia went 12-2 that year, played in the SEC championship, gave Alabama everything they wanted. And then they told Boise State that they didn't deserve to be in. We can't we can't have those conversations.
Chris, that 07 season was the last time that Tennessee was in the SEC title. We played LSU that year in the SEC title game. Trust me, I remember that very, very clearly because that's the last time we were there.
I believe it was 2010 when Boise went into Atlanta and boat raced Georgia. Georgia went 12-2, went to the SEC championship and gave Alabama everything they wanted. It came down to a final play in the end zone, if I remember correctly. But they told Boise that they weren't good enough to get in. If they're not good enough to get in, then why did they boat race Georgia at Georgia? The concept of these teams not being able to compete is unfathomable to me. We've seen Utah be told that they don't deserve to get in and then go down and turn around and boat race Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. These teams can and do compete when given the opportunity.
Cincinnati played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl the year before, and listen, it came. Do y'all remember that game? It came down to the wire. I mean, I had so much respect for that team because I thought, my God, I mean, we thought we were going to run in there and truck them, and honestly, they gave us a fight till the fourth quarter.
Okay, here's my question with them expanding the college football playoffs. Are they gonna do like they did with how it is now and replace the and use the bowl games as the playoff games? Because that's my only problem is the they're taking away these bowl games and making them into the playoffs. Why not just add games to the end of the bowl game at the end of the bowl games and make those the playoffs? Why do you have to? We want more games, but all you're doing is, in my opinion, is you're just down downgrading these bowl games by making them into playoff games. If they keep doing that, pretty soon that's just gonna be the bowl games or the playoffs, and I don't like that.
In
Problem
a
is everybody's
sense,
opting out of the playoffs right now. You got these great players that come in, they opt out. We don't get to see the full team play. If we actually give meaning to those bowl games, I think it'll actually raise the level.
and that's my point. I think to do the playoffs and expand them and incorporate, if it's 25%, you're looking at roughly 26 teams. And you use the bowl games in a tiered status to promote the playoffs and use the bowl games as the playoff games.
Well, one thing is for sure, whatever happens, from the day into the end, it's going to be interesting to see who that Final Four is. And I think right along with Jason, I think there's a lot of teams who are actually looking forward, and a lot of fans who are looking forward to the expansion to try to get them in. One last thing on the expansion: if they did take the top 12 teams today, then Wake Forest would actually be in the playoffs. They would actually be in the expansion today. You see what I'm saying? So they're number 10. So I think they would end up playing number 5, I think it is. So they would be playing probably Clemson, I think it is, something like that. My numbers are probably off. But they would be playing somebody like a Clemson. And, do they really have a chance? So it's definitely going to see.
So referring to Wake Forest versus Clemson, what was it, 4 weeks ago when Clemson and Wake Forest gave us one of the best games of the college football season when they went into double overtime and it was 49-48 or 49-42, something like that?
Oh, how quick do I forget? Yeah.
And to your point about Wake Forest being number 10, that just adds to the stretch that Vanderbilt had to go through with Wake Forest at Alabama, Ole Miss, at Georgia. Nobody in America plays such a brutal schedule like that.
That's a tough schedule, man. It really is. I had so like I said, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this all turns out. I think Georgia is definitely Georgia's gonna have to fight to keep that number 1 spot for the rest of the year because everybody's coming from because everyone's pretty close to wanting to make that playoff game. So Georgia's gonna have to bring it. Even against Florida, Florida hasn't been the best team this year, but Florida has shown signs, that they're not a bad football team, and I think they're going to be ready to play against Georgia. It's something about playing the number 1 team in the nation. It makes certain teams step their game up just a little bit, just because of this opportunity. So I look forward. I actually look forward
well coached.
to that. Yeah, it is. So I have a question for you guys. Thank you, Chris. As a matter of fact, I have a question for this. Name a coach and only one that you would want to coach your school if you did not have your current coach. So, Mike, I'll start with you. Who would you want? Who would you want to coach Arkansas if you didn't have Pittman right now?
Petrino.
Okay. Cool.
That's the home run right there.
Yep.
Bobby, who would you want to coach right now if Kelly wasn't there?
Nick Saban.
Okay. You and every other program.
Well, I've always wanted Nick Saban to come back to LSU.
Oh, okay. What about you, Bobby? I mean, Chris, my fault.
So for me, I keep a list of guys that I want. Right now on my list, I've got Lance Leipold,
Yeah,
Kansas.
but you only give me one though. Only
I
give
got
me your
Matt
number
Campbell.
one.
I got
Okay.
PJ Fleck. But to say it out loud, I want to bring a guy out of retirement, and I'm bringing back the old Boise State coach, Chris Peterson, to coach my Vanderbilt Commodores.
Wow. Okay. And Matt, who would you want at Kentucky if Mark Seuss wasn't in the house?
Well, he's not alive today, but I'd say Joe Paterno.
Oh wow. Okay. He said, "Well, that's controversy. That's a lot of controversy. I guess Do you take the baggage that goes with it, or
No.
or what? That's a lot of baggage, and
Yeah.
the Big Blue Nation, they'll eat that up."
Yeah.
David, Georgia, what about you?
Man, this is hard because Kirby's that's our guy. That's our man. But if I just had to pick anybody of active coaches right now, I like Dabo Swinney. I think Dabo would be a good choice for us. He recruits that area well. He beats Alabama. I mean, I think that'd be a good choice for us.
So I have to ask this question since you said Debo. Is Georgia? Well, I hope this is not a dumb question, so you guys don't laugh at me. It's a bigger market than Clemson, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Georgia. I mean, our top. I mean, Brock Bowers. We're pulling guys out of California like crazy. I mean, we recruit Texas well. We recruit California well. We've got the Southeast now. We lose the number one team in Georgia, or the number one player in Georgia all the time. I don't know why that is. We recruit well in Georgia, but we don't ever get that top guy for some reason. But we've got deep ties to that high school in Florida. I forget the name of it now, but it's where it's just a football AMG Academy. Yeah, we pull guys really well out of there. So I think we are out recruiting, of course, most of these teams now except Alabama. It's always Alabama, Georgia, right neck and neck. And of course, I don't know where A&M came from. We can play that game all day long. I think their NIL deals are definitely to play in that. But that Georgia's we're a recruiting machine, that's for sure.
Well, that's good, man. It's I'm Bobby. I mean, not Bobby, but Matt. I just got to go back to you, man. Rick Paterno. I mean, and Joe Paterno. Man, that's Mike. Hey, Mike's not saying a lot today, but he's definitely shaking his head like,
I know.
hey, look.
I was thinking his coaching abilities. I know there's a lot of baggage to go with.
Yeah. Mike is like, you know what? I'm not saying a lot today, but just look at my head, and I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. So, I mean, so basketball season, man. Just to briefly talk basketball season. This out here I didn't even get a chance to watch it, man. I just been busy. But SEC, this was the SEC opening week for talks and stuff like that. They already have ranked Kentucky preseason to win the SEC championship this year. I mean, we got some stars. I still don't understand what's going on down in Arkansas. Don't know how they recruiting so much. Arkansas is recruiting like I don't know what. So it's definitely going to be fun. Just briefly, how do you guys think you guys are going to compete? Just all of you in the SEC this year. I start with Arkansas because you guys made a run last year, and you guys made it farther than any of us, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but back-to-back Elite Eights. Musselman, he could probably crash on a motorcycle, and everybody would still love Musselman. He's got it going on. We've had a couple of great players from Arkansas, and luckily we were able to get Nick Smith Jr. There was one of his teammates that's up in Oregon. He's about a 7-footer that we missed out on. But Musselman, he knows what he's doing. The game plan he had against Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament it was a great game plan.
Yeah.
And I think you've got the right coach, and you've got people who can play, and it's we like where we're at.
So
Just don't play Vanderbilt in Fayetteville, right?
Hey, bring you. I don't want to debate you. But I'll play.
yeah, I heard that. So LSU is always they always usually bring it too as well in basketball too. They're known for playing basketball this past couple of years, even if they are paying their players and it's being recorded. But hey, but who's keeping track? Hey, Justin, since you just joined us,
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What's one coach, only one, that you would want coaching your program right now if it wasn't Heupel?
I would one coach that I would want coaching my program.
Yeah, if it wasn't. Yeah, if it was. Yeah.
Lane Kiffin.
Okay.
Lane
Not
Kiffin.
a bad choice.
Lane Kiffin.
He's definitely full of life.
Do what? Say again.
He's definitely full of life. That's for sure.
He is. I understand. He has kind of some bad blood with the Tennessee program, but at the same time, he was very young whenever he became the Tennessee head coach. I don't believe that he was mature enough for a job like that from the very beginning. So I think that he's really, matured up and wised up a lot. And at the same time, he loves Tennessee. And I mean, he even mentioned the other day that if he knew then what he knows now, he probably would have never left Tennessee to begin with.
I got you. Okay. We were just covering a little, very briefly, because this right here was the opening week of SEC Media Day for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Kentucky, the favorite to win it all. Of course, we know we got to go through Tennessee, we got to go through Arkansas. Florida gives us a little bit. Georgia doesn't really give us anything.
Yeah. Y'all gotta go through St. Peter's first, though.
Hey, what was you saying? Exactly. Dude, so I know.
And buddy, last I checked, Deacon Barnes is the one who won the whole SEC tournament. Last I checked.
Well, it's about time y'all win an SEC tournament. It only took you guys 300 years. You should. Now, I know Jason. He keeps up with football. Hold on one second, Chris. I'm sorry. Jason doesn't really keep up with basketball very much. He's a diehard football fan, so that's why I really didn't really say much about Georgia, because he can't really defend them. What was you? Then you got Stackhouse over it. You know what? If Vandy played as good as Stackhouse dressed, then you guys will win the SEC, man.
Son, he's the best dressed, ain't he? He looks good, don't he?
So, to start off with Vanderbilt basketball, I'm just going to say it's the crime of the century that Vanderbilt and Memphis will not be televised to start the season. Who doesn't want to watch Stackhouse and Penny go at it, matching X's and O's after they played each other so well in college days and in the NBA? But Vanderbilt was picked 12th overall in the SEC. I think they're better than that. I want to focus more on the women's side for Vanderbilt. We hired Shay Ralph a year and a half ago. She exceeded expectations, and I think she's building something special over there on West End.
Okay, you want to talk about women's? All right, let's talk about Tennessee. Let's talk about South Carolina. Come on, dude. We're talking about
Yeah.
men's basketball right now. You guys, Stackhouse, he's an excellent coach, bro. Why would you not want to talk about the men's program?
He's an excellent coach that's 13-37 in the SEC and just got a extension that he has not earned by any stretch.
Well, I mean, Chris, I mean, you got to ask yourself though. You know, I mean, how's he recruiting? And also, you know, he can't go on he can't go on the court and actually play for the guys. And when you got them playing at a conference with Arkansas, who's going all the way to what, Elite Eight or something like that, you got Kentucky, you got Tennessee, you got LSU. I mean, and if they're not recruiting that way, then I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle. You know what I'm saying? It just is. Yeah.
So something to consider with Jerry Stackhouse. He's been there for 3 years. All 3 years he's put a player in the NBA draft. He's
Okay.
won 13 games in 3 years with NBA level talent. I don't see where the disconnect is coming from. I mean, if you're coaching that kind of, if you've got that kind of talent on your roster, why aren't you winning ball games?
Well, you got to think of it like this. You just said he's put in the last 3 years, he's put 3 guys in the NBA. Well, how many guys has Kentucky put in the NBA? They put that in a half of a year. How many guys has Arkansas putting, Tennessee putting in there, LSU putting in there? I mean, 3 guys a year is the norm for these teams now. And until the recruiting steps up, until he's able to bring some people in there, the same way, you know, the issues that the football team is having, until he can bring some kids in and who can actually play ball. I mean,
I'm glad.
wouldn't that be any coach though? I mean, wouldn't that be any coach who came into the program?
I'm glad you keep bringing up LSU and basketball though, because when we play LSU and basketball, one thing you can bet on: Vanderbilt's putting up 100.
Yeah, okay.
So basketball.
The last 2 times we played LSU in Nashville, we put up 100 on them both times.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, Vanderbilt may put up 100, but LSU's gonna put up 300.
That's why we've beaten them the last 2 times we played them and put up 100 both times.
Okay, can we all not agree that Will Wade is one of the worst human beings on the planet? Can we not all agree with that?
I'm just waiting for the.
Will Wade is a jackass.
I'm just waiting for the entire LSU situation to boil down, and the NCAA comes in and finally says, "These are your punishments because you had the gross crap going on in football. You had the basketball coach that was paying players and talking about it. I'm speaking it into existence. LSU's losing 24 consecutive SEC games. It's going to happen. I said so."
If there's one program that deserves the death penalty, not a football program, an entire athletic program, it's LSU. They just need to wipe that clean and start over.
That is a old. And Mike, why would you say that about LSU athletics? I really am curious about this.
Well, you got the football program, you got the basketball program. My God, you know, that's with all that stuff that went on. Even their golf program has taken some illegal recruiting things with some of their alumni that are in the PGA Tour that I know of. Got a kid from our hometown that is an LSU golfer, and you hear some things. So, LSU, they're just dirty, man. They're just dirty.
Dirty.
So
They are. What about those Alabama fans last night? You know, the way they were singing, Dixieland Delight, buddy. They put a lot of emphasis on Tennessee too. Like, I don't know if y'all saw that video.
he didn't see that video.
Oh yeah, like they're like, I'm not going to say it on here because this is supposed to be a family show.
Yeah,
but pretty much they were saying, screw Alabama, screw LSU, and screw Tennessee too. Only you can imagine what they were saying. And they
which team was singing this? Which team was
Huh?
singing it? I said, which team was?
No. The Alabama fans were last night in the stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, next week should be a little bit more excited than this week. We got the cocktail party. That's going down next week in Jacksonville. Arkansas is playing Auburn. That should be pretty interesting. Georgia's, of course, Tennessee's
Michael,
playing.
I have a question, Jason.
Okay. Yeah.
Jason, when are they going to start doing
Yeah.
home and home?
Man, as quick as we can, Dustin. Honest to God, I'm just not the Jacksonville fan. Listen, a lot of the Georgia fan base, they bought condos. They've got years booked down there. It's their vacation time. I mean, some of these guys have been doing it. Their grandfathers did it, or whatever. I mean, I'm not that guy. I want the recruiting advantage. I feel like going to Jacksonville is ridiculous because, I mean, honestly, Gainesville is just right down the road from Jacksonville. These guys, Florida, you can bring your recruits into Florida and just bust them right up. You can get it right up there to the game with no problem at all. But for us, you're talking about that's a 6-hour drive. It just does not make sense. So as soon as we can, I believe Kirby's going to have this wrapped up by next year. You guys, this may be the last cocktail party game there is. I mean, I'm not saying it's a done deal, but I think that was part of his negotiation. He got everything he wanted from his AD. He got that huge salary increase, but I think the untold portion of his negotiation was that the cocktail party would come to an end.
Yeah, and I think that Florida Georgia game, I've always thought that. I mean, I understand the history of it, right? That was the only way that really they could mutually meet was by train and all this other stuff. I get that, guys. We're in 2022. We have cathedrals for football fields. Let's use those to our advantage. I'm the kind of guy. Okay, you want to do a neutral site game for a playoff game or something? That's great. That's fine.
Right.
But all of these preseason, the Chick-fil-A kickoff, and see, Tennessee's supposed to be playing Syracuse there in 2025 in Atlanta for to open for the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. You ask me, man, home and home with these guys. I love home and home games. I always have. I've always been a fan of it. I hate neutral site games. The big arenas, those are for the pros. We have college stadiums that are bigger than some office buildings. They're huge, right? They can fill 100,000 fans. Why not use them? Why not use those?
But don't they?
Now,
Go ahead, Jason.
oh, I'm so sorry. I was just going to say, I do like now when Georgia, we were supposed to play Oklahoma next year to open the season. This year we opened with Oregon. I have to say I'm kind of a fan of those out of conference, neutral site games. Those are fun. I think they're great to kind of see. But I'm with you on that. This is Florida, Georgia. That is an SEC in conference matchup.
Yes.
It has no place to be in a neutral site at all.
No. I mean, you know as well as I do, the Swamp is a very hard place to play. The Hedges, that's a very hard place to play. Dude,
Not
let's
for Vanderbilt. We've spoiled many homecomings down there between the Hedges.
You have only done one, and that was only a couple of years ago.
No, we've beaten them on homecoming twice in the last 10 years, and back in the 90s, we beat them 56-10 on homecoming.
Are you talking about bowling?
We're talking about their golf program. That's their golf program, Miguel.
So, but I want to ask Dustin this. He's talking about home neutral field games.
Yes.
A lot of Tennessee fans get mad at Vanderbilt because they won't sell their game to the Titans for Tennessee. But let me ask you this. With the Dome coming to Nashville, is Tennessee going to sell a home site game to have a game against Vanderbilt in the Dome?
I think that would be, I don't know. I think, you could give it a catchy name like the Battle for Tennessee, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be really, really cool. But I'm, like I said, I'm a big fan, dude, of just home and home. So give me the SEC stadiums over these mega domes. That's just my opinion. Like I said, man, playoff games, national titles, I get it, but I don't know. Give me some home stadium. That's my opinion on it.
Hey, I have a question for you, Dustin. Do you prefer those stadiums because those stadiums for college is a little bit more intimate, and it kind of engulfs what the college atmosphere is about more so than the NFL with the mega stadiums? Is that a reason why you maybe feel that way?
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, man, we have these cathedrals for, these beautiful stadiums in the SEC. Let's utilize those, man. Let's have that home field advantage for, say, for Georgia, for Florida. Let's have these home field advantages. That's what college football is all about. And I feel like that just kind of takes away of the pageantry of what college football is whenever you're playing in these mega stadiums. That's just my opinion of it.
Okay.
I mean, right?
You're right.
That's
You're
why
right.
we love college football, right?
That's it.
We love going to game day on Saturday, whether it's in Athens, whether it's in Knoxville, whether it's in Lexington, and I don't mean to leave out Nashville, but not many people go, to game day on Nashville. So I'm just saying, but
I wonder
but
why.
time though, that's besides the point. But at the same time though, that's what makes college football so great, man, is the fan base. College football has never been better, bigger, better, and has never made more money than it has today.
Yeah.
So if you're okay, all right, let me ask you this. If you want to introduce someone who has never watched a day of college football in their life, you want to introduce them to what a college game day should be. Would you not want to do it in Athens? Would you not want to do it in Oxford? I mean, man, Oxford, I don't know if you guys saw that. That's some of the best tailgating in the SEC, really in the country. Why would you not want to show that to somebody who's never watched it instead of Jacksonville?
And to your points about using the college home field advantage and selling the college game as a whole, even your places like Fargo, North Dakota with North Dakota State,
Yes.
and what's going to happen next week at Jackson with Jackson State, SEC going or ESPN going there for game day. That is huge for them, and I can't wait to see what that environment's going to be.
It is.
They're gonna be on that grill, baby.
It is,
They
but
gonna
like,
be.
that just takes away, man, whenever you do these neutral site games of what college football is really all about, kind of what it's built up to become. So yeah, man, give me the home and home all day long over a neutral site game. That's just my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that. So next week, man, it's this week coming. It's all about these wins for Florida, and I'm not Florida, but for Georgia and Tennessee. If they want that chance to get to Atlanta, they definitely got to take care of both of them. Got to take care of business this week, and they got to at least give themselves a chance to play each other to see who's going to get to Atlanta. So winning this weekend should be really exciting, something for us all to watch for. What's up,
Michael? I have a couple things. Talking about games. The road to Atlanta. There's 2 trap games on Tennessee's schedule that are still left on there. Okay,
Mississippi State.
That's Kentucky, and that's South Carolina. Georgia, yeah, that's going to be that's our hardest game, and we're not expected to win that ball game. Georgia's a 9-point favorite currently in that ball game, but you have 2 trap games right now left on the Tennessee schedule. Kentucky could easily beat us, right? The way that South Carolina last night, they only held Texas A&M to 6 points. Man, is Shane Beamer and company turning it around down there in Columbia? I don't know. So there's 2 trap games left on Tennessee's schedule that I'm very excited to see how it's going to turn out. Yes, I'm super excited for this Tennessee Georgia game, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this Tennessee Kentucky game. I know I give you guys crap, and all this other stuff. Man, I love this Tennessee Kentucky game. I always have. It was honestly, the Tennessee Kentucky game was the very first game that I ever went to. So it kind of holds a special place in my heart. That was the very first game I ever went to with my dad, was that Tennessee Kentucky game. But yeah, I've got a lot. I'm real nervous about this coming weekend. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. The last time you guys come down to Knoxville, you guys got us. So Tennessee better play their best ball if they want to beat Kentucky this weekend.
But it's not gonna happen. Tennessee's gonna take that L. Just get ready for it.
And Bobby, to think I was getting ready to mute you. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. So, well, before I close it out, anybody else got anything before we get out of here? It's been a
So
good
just
show,
Final
man.
words.
Just wanted to throw
Final
this
words
out
from
there.
Huh?
Fall baseball started this week as well. Got all the SEC teams in full practice right now. Vanderbilt currently leads Samford 8-7 in the bottom of going to the top of the ninth. They had a 5-4 lead, gave up 3 in the eighth, came back and retook the lead. But these fall ball scrimmages, man, I gotta love them because you get to see some of these players that normally don't do the things that they're doing in fall ball. We had a back end reliever start the game today. We've got our number one starter pitching in the back end of the eighth inning. Crazy things happen in fall ball. I just love it. Thought I'd throw it out there.
Jason, did you have something?
I was just going to say, I wanted to piggyback off what Dustin said. It's the same thing with Georgia. I mean, here you have Georgia, Tennessee. Guys, that game, it means everything because it not only is it going to decide the East, it's probably going to decide who goes to the college. I mean, either Georgia or Tennessee, we will eliminate one or the other more than likely to be in that playoff contingent. And so here's the thing, is that we have the same thing they have. We've got a gauntlet running. We got Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Those are 3 games right there that, honest to God, that's the toughest schedule we've seen all year. Okay. Yeah, we opened with Oregon, but Oregon, let's just be real. It was their first game. They just got clicking in the new offense and their defense scheme with the new coach. But I'm telling you is that these 3 games, either one of those games could go either way. We're going to see what Georgia's made of. And us Georgia fans, we're enjoying it right now, but we saw the scare with Missouri. We got a little nervous with Auburn. We handle our business, but those 3 games, that's gonna tell us what we need to know. And I'm not sitting here saying with 100% confidence, man. I know we look good right now, but those 3 games tell all the story right there. So
It's gonna go ahead, Bobby.
I was just gonna touch on the fact that LSU handled business very impressively last night against Ole Miss. I don't think anyone was expecting that. I wasn't expecting a W out of that, but we got the W. We more than doubled what Tennessee scored, and we shut them out in the second half. So I give props to Brian Kelly and what he is doing down there in the Bayou.
Well, yeah, he's definitely making those guys believe that they can win ball games. So, well,
My last note,
okay.
I just checked the latest line. Bye week is favored by 69 now over Vanderbilt.
Okay.
I'm not even looking forward to this.
All right, Bobby, just so you're aware, LSU is not winning the West. I'm sorry. Whenever your top rusher is Jaden Daniels, which is also your quarterback, you cannot win big games if you have a rushing quarterback like that. He will get hurt. Your offensive line is terrible. That's why Nussmeier is not in there currently. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
LSU is not winning the West. I'm sorry to break it to you, bud. Heard it here first.
Watch and find out. Watch and find out.
Bro. All right, we will find out, and Bobby, we will revisit this conversation whenever Alabama whips that ass for you.
Alabama's not gonna whip that ass.
So
Alabama is not the same Alabama it has been in years past.
All right.
So I'm
Chris,
just reminding
Chris, what do you have?
I'm putting this for public knowledge. I personally witnessed a bet be made. If Alabama beats LSU, we have a promise from Bobby that he's going to shave his head live on camera during one of our streams.
There you go, right there. And that's just, hey, Chris, way to end that show, man. There you go, Bobby. Get ready because that's coming off. So, hey, thank all you. Hey, I want to thank all you guys for coming out today, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was really, really good. I think we got some stuff. Considering it was not too busy of a weekend, some good games, but not the typical busy, big, big powerhouses playing each other. But overall, it was a good SEC weekend, and we look forward to everything that's going to happen this week. So you've been watching Second to None. I'm your host, Michael Spencer. Don't forget to check out the Southern Boys Sports page on Twitter. Those guys are really doing some really cool things for what they got going on. Please go follow them. Please go watch them. And those guys definitely will give you something to look at. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button down below. And we really appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
Go for it.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all take care. Have a good week.